Welcome back to the Motivated Mind Zone. Glad to have you here. Today, we are doing a deep dive that is, well, it's intensely practical.
Very practical.
This isn't about theory or, abstract ideas. It's about getting things done. We've got this huge, comprehensive stack of resources that you, our listener, have given us.
And it's an amazing collection.
It really is. It's English dialogues that cover almost every essential daily scenario you could possibly imagine. From something as simple as calling a doctor to the complexities of renting an apartment.
See, it's a real gold mine.
That's the word for it.
Oh.
Because these sources, they offer the exact language you need right in the moment you need it. So our mission today is to go beyond just reading these scripts aloud.
Right, we're going to deconstruct them.
Exactly. We're going to zoom in on the linguistic structure, pull out that really high utility vocabulary, and give you the structural insights, the sort of conversational architecture.
A shortcut to fluency.
A shortcut to situational fluency. These aren't just words. They are the reliable roadmaps for navigating real-life transactions. The moment you know the script, your anxiety just drops.
And your confidence goes way up.
Okay, let's unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here for me is how these sources deliver more than just, simple vocabulary drills. They provide the social and procedural framework that's so necessary for effective English communication, especially when you're dealing with essential services or these transactional exchanges.
So it's the how as much as the what.
It's almost entirely the how. If you know the formula for checking into a hospital or renting a car, you completely bypass the cognitive load of trying to construct a perfect sentence from scratch.
And that efficiency, that is fluency in a way.
That's exactly it. So we've organized this massive amount of information into 4 major functional categories. We're going to tackle them based on, well, urgency and necessity, starting with the highest acuity situations.
The public services and transactions where getting it right really, really matters.
Where clarity is paramount.
Okay, kicking off with section 1 then. Let's look at these essential communication protocols. Specifically, how we structure a phone call that's either professional or urgent.
Right. And the sources give us 2 very clear structures for this. One is about apology and request, and the other is for when someone's unavailable and you need to take a message.
Let's start with the apology one. The example is calling in sick, which is something everyone has to do at some point.
And it's just a masterclass in what you might call preemptive politeness. The caller, Jane, she immediately offers this mitigation. She says, "I'm so sorry that I made such an early phone call."
Ah, so she's acknowledging a potential inconvenience right up front.
Exactly. Before she even states her core purpose, that structure is just universally useful in English. Acknowledge the hurdle first, then state your request. It just smooths everything.
And the request itself, it's buffered a bit. It's not so direct. It's, "I'm afraid I won't attend the meeting this morning."
That's right, I'm afraid. It's a softener. And then it's followed by the specific vocabulary of the element.
All right, the key phrases. "Last night, I had a sore throat and I started getting hot." That's the essential medical vocabulary.
It is. Sore throat, getting hot, fever. If you can't describe your symptoms, you can't really justify your absence effectively.
And what about the response? The person on the other end of the line has a script to follow too, right?
They do. Their first job is to dismiss the inconvenience. Something like, "Don't worry about the meeting."
So you put the other person at ease.
Yes, and then you pivot immediately to offering advice. "You'd better go to see a doctor." And that completes the script loop so graciously. It's a full, functional, polite exchange for managing an unforeseen absence.
Okay, so that's the polite interaction.
Yeah.
But dialogue 2, it shifts gears. This is about the mechanics of trying to reach someone who's just not there.
Which happens constantly. And knowing the precise steps for leaving a clear message is so critical. You can't just stumble through it.
This feels less about being polite and more about being purely transactional.
That's a great way to put it. We shift from relational language to transactional language. The key phrase for the person taking the call is all about controlling the flow.
Like, hang on.
Hang on, or he's not available right now. Simple, direct. Then the caller probes for time. Do you know when he will be back?
And, depending on the answer, you make a decision.
Right. If the timeline is reasonable, say he should be back in 30 minutes, the caller can choose to wait or leave that message.
I noticed something really brilliant embedded in this message-taking dialogue. The person taking the message, they explicitly manage the caller's expectation before they act.
Oh, you mean the hold on for just a second part?
Yes, hold on for just a second so I can grab the pen and paper.
Yeah.
What does that little phrase structure teach us about, polite interruption in a high-stakes scenario?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It signals professionalism and, maybe more importantly, accuracy. Instead of rushing the caller or risking a mistake, they verbally establish a pause for logistics. It's basically telling the caller, your message is important and I need a moment to make sure I get this down correctly.
So that technique, prefacing an action with an explanation of your prep, it actually builds trust.
It builds immense trust, and then you get to the vital exchange.
The critical data. Relaying the phone number 206-555-1212.
And the safety net is built right into the structure of the dialogue. The confirmation. Can you repeat that again, please?
That insistence on repetition, especially for numbers, seems so important.
It's non-negotiable in this kind of high-utility communication. We sometimes think fluency means, never having to repeat things.
Right, that it's a sign of weakness or something.
But in professional settings, confirmation language, let me read that back to you, or just to confirm, that is the mark of precision, not imperfection. The script teaches us that safety nets are part of the process.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's move on now to financial and postal scripts. These are environments where you absolutely need precise terminology.
And you have to adhere to the procedure. There's no room for error.
Let's start with the post office. The dialogue shows it's not enough to just ask for postcards.
Right. You get the options and the pricing confirmed immediately. 3 kinds at $1, $2, and $5. The linguistic value here is practicing how to confirm multiple data points at the same time.
And it's the same with the hours, right? Confirming they're open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's that structured confirmation that saves you a wasted trip.
Exactly. But the real logistical challenge, as the source shows, is sending a parcel.
Here, you need specific spatial vocabulary, like navigating to the window marked parcel post.
And then comes the security language. You need to know the terms registered mail and insured value.
So if you're sending something valuable, you have to be able to specify that insured amount. For example, insuring it for $30.
And that one phrase shifts the entire transaction from just simple postage to, a contract of liability.
And the source dialogue includes that critical moment of correction.
Oh, this is my favorite part. Wait a second, sir. You forgot to put the return address on the package.
That's the procedural prompt that prevents a complete logistical failure.
It is. And the language is authoritative, but it's still helpful. It guides the sender through the necessary steps without making them feel foolish.
Okay, over to the bank now. Banking transactions are so ritualized.
Highly ritualized. We have 2 key scripts from our sources: withdrawal and opening an account. Let's just focus on the procedural checklist for a basic withdrawal first.
Okay.
It's a perfect example of a transactional sequence. The mental checklist is clear. First, you make the request, then form completion name, account number, amount.
Then you hand it over.
Then the machine input. Please enter your password over that machine. Then verification, maybe a signature. And finally, the receipt.
And every single step requires a unique verbal instruction or a confirmation.
Right. And if you fail at one step, like entering the password wrong, the security loop kicks in immediately. I am sorry, the password is wrong. Please enter it again.
And what I found interesting is that the modern banking dialogue, it doesn't end with the money.
No, it ends with the service assessment. Please press the button to give a score for my service.
Which shows the learner that the transaction isn't really complete until that feedback mechanism is engaged.
Exactly. Now, opening an account is a bit different. It involves explaining your specific need, like cashing a check for $100 and then specifying the product you want.
A checking account.
Right. And it requires more paperwork, fill in these forms, and identification, providing an ID card to make a copy.
But my favorite detail, which we kind of touched on before with the numbers, is the precise instruction for the currency you want back.
Ah, yes. Tens will be fine.
That feels like a real power move. Knowing how to ask for your money in specific denominations.
It is, because it uses precise counting and exact nouns, tens, to dictate the service. It completely eliminates ambiguity in that final phase of the transaction.
It shows a confidence that comes from knowing the script, not just from knowing the vocabulary.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, let's pivot sharply now. From the polite and the procedural to the absolute highest acuity situation. Emergency assistance.
Right. Here we have to transition from language that manages expectations to language that only seeks to convey immediate life-saving information.
All the politeness goes out the window.
It has to. Clarity is the only goal. And the structure of a 911 call is an optimized sequence designed to extract 3 vital pieces of information as quickly as possible. The dispatcher controls everything.
Okay, so scenario 1 is a robbery. The immediate questions are focused on triage, right?
Absolutely. Are you injured, and can you tell me your name and where you are? That's it.
And the caller, Emily Davis, she has to deliver those data points cleanly. Her name and a precise location. Motel 23 on Pine Street.
And look at the dispatcher's response. It uses a phrase designed to be precise, but also reassuring, to manage the caller's, extreme anxiety.
Our officers will meet you in less than 3 minutes.
Notice the exact timeline. Less than 3 minutes. It's combined with that definitive modal verb, will meet. That is confidence-inducing language designed to minimize panic.
Scenario 2 deals with a fire. What's the key information there?
Beyond the location, Mr. Smith, on South Street, the absolute necessity is identifying the number of people inside.
3 people in this case.
And critically, the physical status of the victims. If someone is passed out, that specific language immediately triggers a more urgent response.
Requesting an ambulance along with the fire department.
Right. The linguistic structure literally dictates the operational response.
And what about the third scenario, the medical emergency?
Also requires an immediate assessment of the victim's status. There's a man passed out, and the key phrase is, he is not responding.
Not responding. That feels like a very high-utility medical reporting phrase.
It is. It's concise and unambiguous. Location, again, is key. Maple Street near the church. And the rapid response phrase confirms the system is working. The ambulance will be there in 2 minutes.
So this whole section really underscores that in an emergency, you have to strip away all the unnecessary language.
Everything. You just deliver location, condition injured, number of people, passed out, not responding, and your name. Calmly and clearly.
Mastering that formula removes the linguistic barrier to getting immediate help.
Precisely. High-utility language, especially for public services, is transactional, it's precise, and it is highly, highly formulaic.
Okay, we've moved from high-stakes emergencies now to the daily friction points.
Yeah.
Travel, transit, and vehicles. Let's start with mastering public transportation, beginning with the bus scripts.
The sources here provide some excellent scripts for dealing with journeys that are, a bit complex. They involve transfers and timings.
A simple question like how to get to the cinema turns into a multi-step instruction.
Right. Get off at the bookstore and take number 39. For the learner, this really emphasizes sequencing language. First you do X, then you do Y.
And there are essential numerical confirmations built right into the interaction. How much is the fare to that stop?
$1.
And how many stops are there?
3 stops. The interaction finishes with a confirmation of the outcome. Bus number 39 will take you right there.
So it combines the financial, the spatial, and the functional aspects of the journey all in one short conversation.
It does. And the second dialogue focuses heavily on frequency. A rider has been waiting for 15 minutes.
Which leads to the explanation that the bus runs every 20 minutes.
This is the language of scheduling and intervals. When
Hmm.
you're dealing with transport, you have to be able to talk about regularity and crucially, alternative routes.
Right, the advice here is high utility.
Hmm.
For the hospital, they can take both number 9 and number 12.
And the helpful advice doesn't just stop with the immediate trip. It actually directs the learner to the source of future information.
The transportation department to get yourself a bus schedule and a bus routine map. That's not just a language lesson, it's a navigational strategy.
That's right. Knowing the noun transportation department is just as important as knowing the verb transfer.
Okay, now the subway. It has its own unique transactional language, starting with how you pay.
The terminology is very distinct. Instead of tickets, you might need to buy tokens.
Which cost $2 each.
And if you're using an auto machine, the process is detailed. You insert two $1 coins into the slot, and then you click the ticket button. This dialogue teaches the learner the specific verbs, insert, click a noun slot, tokens that are required for these automated transactions.
But what if you don't have coins? The script provides the solution.
Change money at the service center, and it confirms the transaction limit. Can they change a $20 bill? Again, the language is focused on feasibility and logistics.
And navigating the route map itself, that requires understanding directional language.
It does. You have to identify the specific line, say line 5, and the critical transfer point, transfer it to line 1 at Central Bank. Plus, knowing the total number of stops, 10 stops.
And the explicit advice to keep the subway map in case of getting lost is a good reminder that language is, fundamentally, a tool for problem solving.
It is.
Let's shift now to taxi services and car transactions. Taxis introduce the need to understand some pretty complex fare calculation structures.
The sources break down the kilometer rate really well. It's abstract data made concrete. The first 3 kilometers are $10, and every extra kilometer costs $2.
So the learner has to internalize the structure of tiered pricing.
They do. And this knowledge allows them to estimate a fare, which is essential. You can't confidently say, keep the change, if you have no idea what the base fare should be.
Pre-booking a taxi, that seems to introduce the need for extreme precision about time and location.
Absolutely. You provide the pickup time, 7:30 a.m. for a 10 o'clock flight, the location, number 345 York Street, and you confirm any additional costs.
In this case, confirming $1 apiece for suitcases.
Right, so the language here serves 2 functions. You're scheduling the service, and you're agreeing to the contractual add-ons, the extra charges. Precision is everything when you have a flight to catch.
Okay, now for the really complex world of car transactions. Buying, renting, and repair. The car buying dialogue gives us language for expressing aesthetic preferences.
It's a great study in subjective, descriptive language. The speaker dislikes black, finding it kind of gloomy, but prefers white because it looks bright and graceful.
So this teaches the learner how to use adjectives to influence a sales transaction. You're moving beyond just colors to describing the desired feeling of the vehicle.
And of course, the critical next step is the request to test the product, the test drive, often phrased as, can I take it for a spin?
Car renting, though, that seems to be all about comparing and contrasting the legal and financial fine print. We need to really analyze the syntax of comparison here.
This is a perfect exercise in contrastive syntax. The dialogue contrasts the economy car rate, $19 a day or $129 a week with unlimited mileage,
Versus
the station wagon rate, $32 a day plus 39 cents per mile. The key word there is plus.
that tiny 3-letter word fundamentally changes the contract from a flat rate to a variable cost.
It does. The learner has to understand the financial implication of the syntax used in these contracts.
Can you simplify that difference for us? Why is the syntax of plus so critical for the listener to really get?
Okay. When you see unlimited mileage, the language suggests freedom. Your usage is covered by the flat rate. But when you see $32 a day plus 39 cents per mile, that tiny word plus signals that the expense is variable. The final cost depends entirely on your behavior.
So grasping that linguistic distinction allows the learner to choose the right contract for their trip.
Exactly. The required documents are confirmed simply: driver's license and the option of a credit card or cash. Now for repairs, the language is focused on status updates and scheduling.
The question is very direct, asking if the car hasn't been mended yet.
Using that past participle mended correctly for a status check, the response provides the pickup time, come by at 2 o'clock, and the source provides wonderfully specific functional language for diagnosing a problem.
Like, brakes don't work very well.
With a simple, practical solution: lubricate the pedals. That level of specificity really helps with memory and application.
Okay, finally, for this very dense section, let's cover gas, parking, and traffic enforcement. These are routine interactions, but they're heavy on specific regulations.
At the gas station, the language is pure functional command. Fill it up with regular premium, please. Highly efficient transactional English.
And the secondary services are also request-based. Checking the battery and radiator, cleaning the windshield.
It's a sequence of requests all bundled into one stop.
The parking scripts, they reveal the language of variable rate structures. 5 yuan per hour versus 10 near the station. But the most linguistically insightful phrase is about the time limit for 3 hours, which the source dialogue explicitly calls an inequality clause.
That phrase, inequality clause, is highly sophisticated language. It's likely used by the speaker to express frustration. It's not formal legal jargon, but it gives the learner a frame for expressing disagreement or a complaint.
So how would a learner formally contest it?
Well, they might say, "I would like to inquire about the validity of this restriction," but the dialogue gives them the emotional release phrase: "This is an inequality clause."
And the official response is just, whatever you say, this is our regulation.
Which perfectly encapsulates the language of administrative compliance.
And police stops. The source material here is crucial for understanding the language of compliance and due process. The violations noted are things like failure to observe a sign,
No turn on red.
speeding,
The speed limit is 40 kilometers.
and not wearing a seatbelt. Didn't fasten your
Here.
seatbelt.
The focus here is on the required information exchange. The documents are clearly listed: driver's license and insurance policy. The outcome is getting a ticket, and the procedural language for what to do next is vital.
The option to appeal to the court within 14 days. Knowing that exact phrase and the time marker, that's crucial for due process.
It is. And the accident script, though it's brief, it focuses on the sequence of immediate actions.
Check the injured person, check out how the man is, take them to the nearest hospital, and then report the incident to the rental company.
And the specific reporting phrase is key. I ran into the guardrail.
That phrase, ran into, it uses an immediate active verb that clearly establishes fault and the action taken.
It does. And you could explore different degrees of damage reporting. Instead of ran into, you might say the car sustained minor damage or it was a slight impact. But the script gives us the quick, urgent summary.
It prioritizes speed over detailed description.
Exactly. What stands out in all these transit dialogues is the need to provide concise details in a specific sequence to get the outcome you want, whether that's a bus transfer or compliance during a police stop.
Okay, Section 3 takes us into more personal and domestic territory. Health, home life, and personal style. Let's start with medical and health scenarios, where describing your symptoms accurately is everything.
The hospital dialogue is so rich with common complaints, it gives the learner a really robust symptom lexicon: bad cough, sore throat, and backache.
And the doctor's diagnostic process is also scripted. Let me take your temperature, followed by the diagnosis. Just having a bad cold. The learner gets the entire flow.
And the instructions are a clear sequence of prescriptive commands. The language is authoritative, it's directive.
Go home to bed and take one of these pills every 6 hours.
Drink more water and get a good rest.
Or for a backache, get some rest in bed. And notice the temporal specificity. Every 6 hours.
That follow-up language is also crucial for the patient, so they understand the recovery timeline and, the escalation plan. The doctor sets a precise checkpoint. If you still feel bad in 4 days, come back again.
That temporal phrase removes all ambiguity about when the patient should reevaluate their condition.
It does. Now, the visiting patient script, that shifts entirely to social graces and supportive language.
The visitor offers encouragement, "You will be fine soon," and asks about progress with a gentle inquiry, "When you can go home."
And they facilitate small tasks, like offering to ring the nurse for another injection. This is empathetic language combined with transactional offers of assistance. It teaches the learner how to be supportive while still being actively helpful.
At the drugstore, the transactions are highly specific. Buying items involves confirming options. Centrum comes in bottles of 30 or 50 tablets, so you're practicing numerical confirmation again.
And for prescriptions, you present the prescription card, and that expectation management phrase is vital. The wait time is clearly stated as 10 to 15 minutes.
That 10 to 15-minute quote is a high-utility phrase designed to manage the customer's impatience.
It tells them, "I've received your order, here's the timeline for delivery."
Okay, moving on to grooming and appearance. The beauty salon offers some very technical language for dealing with skin issues.
Yes, when a customer is dealing with oily skin and small bumps, the suggested regimen is highly detailed. It requires the learner to use verbs like rinsing, patting, and applying.
And the language includes specific chemical terms like cream designed to wipe out pore-clogging dirt and oil.
This is niche vocabulary, but it's essential if you need to discuss personal care or buy specific beauty products.
What's fascinating is the pivot in the second beauty dialogue to discuss cosmetic surgery, specifically breast enlargement. This moves us away from transactional language into opinion-based personal justification language.
Yes, and this is so valuable for showing the learner how to articulate a deeply personal opinion. We see these differing views on necessity versus natural attraction. The friend offers a gentle pushback,
I don't think that's really necessary.
but the client uses strong language to express her desire, wanting to go back to the way things were, or insisting that the friend be open-minded.
And then the ultimate defensive phrase, "I don't care what other people think," used as justification for the choice.
Right.
But how does a learner pivot that opinion-based language back into a smooth transaction?
That's the critical analysis. While the opinion phrase shows a command of expressive English, a learner has to be prepared to transition back to the functional language needed to actually book the appointment.
So something like, "Thank you for your thoughts, but I would like to proceed." What is the process for scheduling a consultation?
Exactly. The script shows this complex mix of personal justification and practical scheduling.
The barbershop, mercifully, is purely transactional.
Purely. You order the service, a haircut and a shave, and then you provide specific cutting instructions.
And this requires spatial and comparative language. Short on both sides, not so much off at the back.
And then requesting the added services. Could I have a manicure or a facial massage while I wait? This is followed by the confirmation of the all-in total cost, $90 in all.
Let's discuss domestic life and routines now. These are the conversations that manage the household and assign responsibility.
The cleaning dialogue breaks down household chores using descriptive language for messiness. Cleaning up a mess and acknowledging a filthy area. This is the language of domestic accountability.
And the technical tip is very specific. Wetting the cloth with ether for a thick oil blur on glass.
It is.
But wait, is using ether common? What's a safer, more generic phrase I could use if I don't know the specific solvent?
That's a crucial intervention. Ether is highly specific and, you're right, likely unsafe or unavailable for the general user. A high-utility fallback phrase would be to use a generic descriptor,
Like,
like a specialized kitchen degreaser or a strong chemical cleaner. The key linguistic takeaway isn't the word ether, it's the structure of the instruction. Wet the cloth with substance for a specific cleaning job.
okay, that makes sense. The family pet's dialogue covers selection, Siberian husky, guinea pig, parrot, and the assignment of chores.
And the language used to describe the need for cleaning is wonderfully graphic. Cleaning out the dog kennel because it smells to high heaven.
That is a wonderful phrase. Smells to high heaven. You're not going to find that in a standard vocabulary list.
No, but it immediately conveys the severity of the situation, and it probably guarantees the chore gets done faster. It's high-impact, expressive English.
And we also see an important warning about over-shampooing pets.
Right, that it strips the natural oils out of their coats, which teaches specific animal care language.
Finally, daily expenses and finance management within the household. This requires specialized vocabulary for accountability and financial health.
The speakers discuss the need to keep a record of our costs, and they acknowledge that expenses are mounting up. This is the language of financial stress and monitoring.
And the goal is framed with this aspirational language to keep our spending in check and not live beyond our means.
The commitment craze is strong. It uses formal language to emphasize seriousness. I promise I will keep a tight rein on expenditure from now on.
And then it shifts to the transactional language of paying bills, gas, and water bills, meeting deadlines like paying by this Saturday, and drawing money from the bank.
What's unique about this section is that blend of high-precision instruction, like with the cleaning chemicals and financial deadlines, with the relational language aimed at negotiating domestic responsibilities and shared financial goals.
Our final major section brings us back into the social world. Social scripts, shopping, and dining etiquette. These are the interactions that require the most nuance and situational awareness.
Starting with socializing and appointments, the introduction scripts provide really clear phrasing, especially when you're introducing someone from a different background.
Let me introduce you to each other.
Really,
This is Suhua.
And importantly, establishing a shared context or a bonding point, like them both being Olympics volunteers.
Inviting and scheduling is handled both casually, going out for a bite, and formally. For a formal appointment, negotiation around convenience is key.
Tomorrow isn't very convenient for me. They land on a precise confirmation time. Is 7 on the nose, all right?
On the nose, that's a perfect high-utility, idiomatic phrase for an exact time.
It is. And location is also negotiated. Restaurant around the corner. And where to meet. Meet at the door.
The apology and thankfulness scripts are essential for a smooth social flow. For a physical mistake, like stamping on someone's foot, the apology structure is clear.
Apology, then acknowledgement of fault, then a mitigation or excuse. I apologize for stamping on your foot. I didn't do it on purpose.
And the graceful response is just as important. Don't worry about it.
Or the slightly more formal, I accept your apology. The transaction, fault, and forgiveness is complete.
And thankfulness scripts show how to receive compliments graciously.
Like, light blue suits you very well, and how to acknowledge suggestions. Thanks for your comments and directions. I will work on it. The responses are structured to maintain social equilibrium.
Okay, let's move to dining and service interactions, which are meticulously detailed in the sources.
First, the ordering process. Making a reservation involves a specific checklist of details a host needs.
The number of people, preference for seating window or aisle, and defining the area smoking or non-smoking.
The learner has to be able to manage all of those variables verbally.
Menu navigation is rich with descriptive language, especially about regional Chinese cuisines.
It contrasts them using key adjectives. Guangdong food is light. Sichuan food is strong, hot, and spicy. Shanghai food is oily. This teaches the learner how to use comparison and contrast to help a dining companion make an informed choice.
Drink ordering requires similar precision. Tea options are listed: oolong, jasmine, and chrysanthemum.
And for coffee, the preferences must be clarified precisely, black or white, with cream and sugar, or taking it straight up. Notice the complexity of defining what's essentially a simple beverage choice. The language has to be exact.
Service at the table involves making specific requests, asking for more rice, ordering the spring roll specialty, or asking for more cream.
And giving assessment requires specific descriptive language to convey positive feedback. The food is delicious, tender, and crisp, and quite special.
That feedback language is so high utility. Instead of just saying good, the learner knows how to use sophisticated adjectives like tender and crisp.
And we get that wonderful cultural detail. The waiter explains that noodles in China symbolizes longevity. It's social knowledge that enriches the dining experience and aids conversation.
Finally, paying the bill. The procedures are clear.
Payment is handled at the cashier's desk, and you clarify the payment method, charge it on my Visa card or cash.
And the critical question for group dining: requesting one bill or separate bills. This dictates the entire end process of the meal.
This whole sequence provides the full necessary script for concluding a service interaction politely and accurately.
Our final segment covers consumerism and negotiation language. The shopping venue scripts give us some excellent navigation phrases.
In the supermarket, directions are highly spatial and sequential. All the way to the back and turn right to find the fruit and vegetables section or the dairy section.
In specialty stores, jewelry, makeup, clothes, we learn transactional sales language. This includes recognizing sales events, like a Mother's Day sale.
Understanding discounts, a 20% discount on a gold necklace.
And using specialized product recommendations, like foundations suitable for Asian skin.
And internal store navigation requires asking for the fitting room and using the language of size variants. Can I try a larger size?
The flea market and bargaining scripts are so high utility for negotiating prices. A typical bargain moves from 500 yen down to 450 yen.
The learner has to master the language of counteroffer and concession, and the crucial language for confirming authenticity, asking if items are genuine antiques or just reproductions.
The bargaining scripts really highlight the language of leverage. You can challenge the seller by introducing external evidence.
That is more than the other store is charging, and then you back it up. I have an advertisement right here. This establishes credibility and forces the seller to respond.
And the counteroffer strategy is so subtle and effective.
It is. The seller agrees to lower the price slightly, not quite matching the competitor, but they add value to justify the small remaining price difference. They might say, I cannot sell for less than $3,250, but I can offer you free home delivery.
So this teaches the learner that negotiation isn't just about the price, it's about the total value package.
Exactly. It utilizes that linguistic device of concession followed by an added benefit, the but I can offer part.
We have just completed a comprehensive journey through the necessary language of daily life. We've mapped out conversational paths for everything from emergency calls and banking withdrawals to complimenting a delicious Peking duck and successfully negotiating the price of a vintage item. These sources really prove that confidence in a second language comes not from memorizing lists, but from knowing the structure of the interaction itself.
Absolutely. The true insight here is that English communication is highly patterned, especially when you're dealing with these necessary transactions.
Right.
By mastering these specific conversational patterns, the clear sequence for a 911 call, the comparative syntax for renting a car, or the precise checklist for a bank withdrawal, you remove a significant cognitive load.
So when you aren't struggling to form a grammatically perfect sentence,
You are free to execute the necessary daily transaction perfectly, and that enables a functional and, well, an effortless fluency. This really raises an important question for you, the learner.
Mm.
When you're learning a language, should you prioritize the abstract rules of grammar or the immediate ability to perfectly execute these necessary patterned daily transactions?
That application is compelling. We saw so many examples of services being offered throughout these scripts, whether it was getting a good score for the bank teller, ensuring a specific haircut, or successfully achieving a price concession.
Right.
So think about how the specific language you use not only gets the job done, but actively shapes the quality of the service you receive. Using precise, patterned language signals confidence and competence, and that often leads to a better outcome.
It absolutely does.
So which of these highly specific scripts, the 911 structure, the rent-a-car comparison, or the polite banking request, will you practice first to maximize your immediate daily confidence? Thank you for joining us for this incredibly practical deep dive into the language of everyday life. We hope this roadmap helps you navigate the world with greater ease. If you're listening to this, you're what we call the learner. You've probably powered through the grammar books, you know the rules.
Yeah.
But now you're at that next stage.
On next level, yeah.
Exactly. You're ready to move past those phrases that sound, technically correct, but just feel a little robotic.
A little stiff.
Yeah, stiff. You want the real thing, the messy, nuanced, real-world reality of English conversation. You want the idioms, the social shortcuts, the emotional language that really makes you sound like you belong in the conversation.
And that is absolutely our mission today. We have a mountain of source material. It's like a social map, really, detailing these critical dialogue
A
patterns.
social map, I like that.
Because it's not just about what words to use. It's
Yeah.
about understanding the social cost those words carry. We're covering everything from, say, how to gracefully handle an unsolicited compliment.
Which can be tricky.
Very tricky, all the way up to the exact phrases you need when you're quitting a job because you have a horrible manager.
So we're really extracting those specific phrases and maybe more importantly, the unspoken social rules that give you that instant confidence in English.
Mm-hmm.
We've structured this deep dive around social context. We're going to move from the lowest stakes, like a simple introduction, all the way up to the highest stakes, like a big professional disagreement.
Right. And the goal here isn't just to learn vocabulary, it's to understand the social mechanics behind the words. Think of this as your blueprint for applying this knowledge immediately so you can reduce that dreaded fear of making mistakes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the very first words you ever exchange with someone, the art of initial contact.
Let's do it.
So we're starting with a scenario we all face at some point. You move into a new place, you have to meet the neighbors. Our sources immediately show there's this gradient of formality, even in what seems like a simple interaction.
Absolutely. Take the first exchange we have between Lisa and David. Lisa's the new neighbor, and she opens with a very standard, very formal, but, required opening line.
Okay, what is it?
Nice to meet you. I am Lisa, your new neighbor. It's direct, it's concise, and it immediately sets the context. No confusion.
And David, the established resident, he uses that opening to pivot straight into these background and adjustment questions,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess are classic ways to fill that initial silence.
Exactly. He asks, "Where are you from, Lisa?" She says, "China." And then he follows up with this two-part question about acculturation.
Okay.
He asks, "How do you like America?" And then, "Are you used to the life and the weather in America?" And that last question, it's particularly probing
How so?
because it moves beyond just, do you like it? It's asking about a deeper physical and psychological adjustment.
Right. That makes sense. And Lisa's reply gives us one of our first, I think, absolutely essential takeaway phrases for any advanced learner.
It really does. She says, "Frankly speaking, not yet."
Frankly speaking, if she just said no, it would sound cold, a little abrupt.
Completely. But that phrase, "frankly speaking," it performs critical social work. It adds this layer of honest humility, a little bit of vulnerability.
It's like she's saying, I'm going to share something honest that might be difficult, but I trust you with this.
Yes, exactly. It's disarming. And it actually invites comfort.
And David's reaction confirms that perfectly, doesn't it? He
Yeah.
gives that immediate low-effort comfort. He says, no problem, it's a matter of time.
It's a classic conversational pattern in English. You acknowledge the difficulty, but you offer optimistic reassurance to kind of close that emotional loop.
And then the dialogue wraps up with that very relatable expression to signal the conversation's ending. Oh, how time flies.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's contrast that with the second neighbor scenario we have with Kate and Jack Chen. This one skips that initial formality entirely
Why is that?
because Jack recognizes Kate. He initiates with the verbal equivalent of kind of squinting and trying to place someone's face. He says, "Your face looks familiar to me. Let me see."
Which is such a soft way of saying, I know you, I just need a second to figure it out.
It is. And the conversation instantly shifts from introduction to confirmation. They establish their connection through a mutual party, in this case, family. Kate is the youngest daughter of Green, and Jack is the best friend of my father.
So that's a social shortcut. It lets them bypass all the small talk and jump straight to a more intimate conversation.
Precisely. And because that relationship is established through family, the etiquette detail at the end is dictated by that existing bond. They exchange these specific well wishes for the absent parent.
Right, he says, he is so fine. Send my best wishes to him.
And that isn't optional small talk. In that context, it's a social obligation. It demonstrates respect for that mutual acquaintance. So for you, the learner, knowing when to offer that specific kind of regard is really key to sounding natural.
Okay, we've covered the planned introductions. What about the truly spontaneous accidental encounter? You're at the store and you bump into someone you haven't seen in years. This is where we need those surprise formulas.
Absolutely. When you run into someone unexpectedly, you need what we call the small world formula. It's designed to signal a mutual, pleasant surprise. The phrases are simple, but they're really powerful.
Like,
Fancy meeting you here. Or the absolute classic rhetorical statement, small world, isn't it?
they're instant conversation starters.
They are. And once that surprise is registered, the conversation immediately turns to status checking. What are you doing here?
And the answer to that really defines the rest of the interaction. It's either on business, which kind of implies you have limited time.
Right, you're busy, or it's on holiday, which signals relaxation and that you're open to more conversation.
But this is where English conversation, especially in casual settings, can get weird.
Yeah.
It diverges wildly from what learners might expect.
Okay.
We promise the messy reality, and, well, Dialogue 2 really delivers on that with a truly uncomfortable immediate confession.
Oh, it really does. The interaction starts so innocuously with the standard check-in, how's the family?
And the answer is just intensely personal. My parents got divorced. And the speaker doesn't stop there. They offer this raw, highly detailed explanation right away.
And the language they use to describe the situation is so crucial for an advanced learner to understand. The father is shacking up with a young woman. We have to pause on that phrase.
Shacking up. It sounds highly informal, a bit loaded, even judgmental.
It is. It implies they're living together, but it often has a connotation of impropriety, or at least a situation that lacks formal commitment. It's a very specific piece of informal slang.
And then they add the detail. The woman is almost 20 years younger than him and just a little older than me, which just adds layers of dramatic shock.
Exactly.
So wait, if I'm the learner, should I expect this level of intimacy immediately? Is this normal in English conversations?
Yeah.
I would think you'd reserve details like that for close friends.
That's a great question, and it really highlights the social mechanics at play. While it's not universal, it is common in, say, North American and certain casual English settings.
Okay.
When someone shares highly sensitive information that quickly, it's often serving two purposes. First, it establishes a kind of high level of temporary trust. And second, as you said, it's an emotional shortcut. It's designed to elicit immediate sympathy.
The speaker is testing the bond.
In a way, yes. And the response from the listener has to be equally emotional. The source confirms this. The listener says, "Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear this news."
So the takeaway for the learner isn't to start using phrases like shacking up necessarily,
Probably not.
but it's to recognize that when this level of emotional detail is shared, your reply has to match that emotional weight. You have to move past just a simple factual acknowledgement.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's move to the necessary ritual of introductions, which, again, shifts dramatically based on the context, friends, family, or a high-stakes job interview.
When you're introducing friends, the structure is very conversational. It includes this quick social check to, prevent redundancy.
That's the format.
It's, Jack, have you met Lisa? No, I haven't. Oh, then let me introduce you. That opening. Have you met? It's designed to prevent awkwardness.
And we see a subtle formality shift in the responses. The hosts in the dialogue are casual, saying, "Nice to see you, Jack." But the person being introduced to Miss Lisa uses the slightly more respectful, "How do you do, Miss Lisa?"
Right. And that subtle use of the title Miss indicates a bit of deference or a slightly more formal relationship than the ones that already exist in the group.
And when introducing family, the address shifts again.
It does. When a man introduces his wife, he often uses the title. The dialogue has, "I'd like to introduce you to my friend Mike. Mike, this is Mr. Smith. This is my wife." And the recipient, Mike, immediately responds with greater respect to the wife.
He says, "A pleasure to meet you too, Mrs. Smith."
Exactly. Retaining that marital title, Mrs. Smith, adds a layer of respect and formality that's still really important in a lot of social situations.
And just before that little exchange ends, they use the very polite check for prior acquaintance. "Have we met before?"
Which is such a soft, graceful way to establish the ground rules of the relationship without making someone feel bad if they've forgotten you.
Now let's jump to the most formal context, the job interview. The stakes are instantly raised here.
They are. The source shows the interviewer leading by referencing the required paperwork. "We have received your letter in answer to our advertisement." This immediately reminds the interviewee that this is a professional vetting process.
And the self-introduction they ask for is a required self-narrative. It demands extensive biographical detail. The interviewer says, "Now talk something about yourself, please."
And this includes not just their story, but the detailed spelling of their name, W-A-N-G Wang and F-A-N-G Fum, and their specific birth date, May 17th, 1982. This is not casual small talk.
No, it's submitting biographical data orally for verification. It's a test.
It's the linguistic ritual of professional gatekeeping, and you can contrast that intensity with the social or business context introduction in the next dialogue, which is just simple and transactional.
"I believe you're Mr. Smith, aren't you?"
And the reply, "It's my pleasure to meet you. Same here." The difference is entirely in the goal. One is about establishing rapport, the other is about verifying credentials. And the advanced learner has to be able to switch between those two modes instantly.
Okay, so once introductions are made and the conversation is flowing, we move into this crucial area of social feedback. Let's start with compliments. They're one of the most effective ways to build rapport, but only if they're done correctly.
And the key insight from our sources is specificity. Generic compliments like, "You look great," are fine.
But they don't land as well.
They don't. An effective compliment references a specific choice, showing you've noticed the detail. A sweater, a coat, a tie. It validates the person's effort in choosing that item.
We see the standard phrases for appearance. "What a beautiful sweater you have. You look nice." But then there's that potentially awkward one. "You look young for your age."
That phrase is a minefield. It really is. While it's usually meant kindly, it carries this implication that maybe you used to look older or that you're surprisingly well preserved.
So it requires a specific social response to navigate that potential awkwardness.
It does, and the source provides a perfect, witty, self-deprecating deflection. The person says, "You're the only one who has said that."
I love that.
It's great, right? That response shows social maturity. You accept the flattery, but you gently signal that you understand the implicit risk of the comment.
We also see some detailed compliments about fit and style, like it goes beautifully with your pants or it looks terrific. This shows an eye for detail and an appreciation for how things are coordinated.
And what's fascinating is how compliments often prompt a negotiation about money and value. The source shows two ways this can play out. In one dialogue, the compliment implies the item was expensive,
And the receiver humbly denies it. You won't believe it, but it is really cheap.
which is a way to manage expectations and preserve humility. But in the second dialogue, the receiver acknowledges the perceived value. It sure looks expensive, and then the compliment shifts from the item to the buyer's skill.
You are a good bargainer, which is really high praise in a transactional culture. It's complimenting your competence, not just your taste.
Exactly. And when you're complimented directly, effusively, the perfect, polite, formal phrase to show appreciation while gently pushing back against excessive flattery is, "Thanks, you flatter me,"
That's a crucial phrase. Why?
because it indicates that you found the praise maybe a little too much, but you're accepting it with grace. It demonstrates social maturity. It's like saying, "I know you're being kind, but let's not dwell on this."
Okay, so let's move on to something even harder. Refusals. This is a high-stakes moment for the learner, because just saying no can feel really rude. English offers a lot of ways to refuse while saving face for both people.
The first strategy is indirect refusal. You use unavailability as an external reason, so when refusing a social visit, the excuses are impersonal. "Sorry, they are too busy these days," or "Sorry, but that's taken too."
It's the schedule saying no, not you.
Precisely. But then we get to the definitive, indirect, but highly polite refusal. "Well, I'd rather not if you don't mind."
That phrase, "I'd rather not if you don't mind." You can feel the social weight in that.
It is heavy with social weight, and we have to analyze it. For the advanced learner, this is a firm no that is cloaked in extreme politeness and deference, if you don't mind.
Right.
The moment a native speaker hears this, the expectation is that you drop the topic immediately. It communicates, "I have considered your request, I am declining, and I expect you to respect this boundary without asking why." It is the linguistic equivalent of a gentle but impenetrable wall.
Wow. Okay, contrast that with the blunt refusal in the second dialogue. "I don't want to go, and that's that."
Which signals immediate finality, maybe even a little impatience. The person then offers a justification that's rooted in their own insecurity. "I'm poor at English, especially oral English."
And here is the profound aha moment that the source material hands to the learner. The counterargument delivered in the dialogue is really the core theme of mastering a language.
It really is. The other person says, "That's why you should go there. If you don't dare to speak English, owing to being afraid of making mistakes, you simply will never master English."
That is the crucial lesson. The source validates the fear. The person is afraid of mistakes. But the dialogue forcefully counters that justification. It argues that the fear, not the skill level, is the only real barrier.
Exactly. But let's ask a crucial question here. Is that advice, "just speak despite the fear," is that truly realistic for everyone?
That's a good point.
The source itself shows the person justifying the refusal based on that fear. So how do we linguistically bridge that fear? We bridge it by providing structures like the ones we're discussing so the learner can focus on the social function of the phrase instead of scrambling for the right words.
That makes a lot of sense. So moving on to gratitude. It has to be proportionate to the favor, right? Otherwise, you risk sounding ungrateful or, on the other end, exaggerated.
Yes, so for major favors, you need to escalate your thanks. You use phrases that express near speechlessness like, "I really don't know how to thank you," or the maximum expression of gratitude, "I really don't know how I can thank you enough."
This signals just how big the favor was.
It does. And the counter responses from the helper are just as important. They're designed to downplay the burden and show humility. Don't mention it, it was the least I could do, or the common and very versatile, it's my pleasure.
These reassure the person that the favor was given freely.
We also see the powerful emotional connection that gratitude can have, especially when it relates to personal growth. The phrase, "you helped me rebuild my self-confidence," shows that the support went way beyond just the immediate task.
And for building a future relationship, the most important phrase seems to be the offer of reciprocity. It turns a single favor into a mutual social contract.
If there's ever anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know.
It's an open-ended debt of gratitude. We then transition into more transactional help offering and accepting assistance in these little logistical crises. In the printing crisis, the immediate response is an empathetic inquiry. What a pity. Is there anything I can do for you?
It's immediate and solution-oriented. And that second dialogue, the one in the business center, highlights a crucial element of transactional politeness: clarification.
Right.
When you're dealing with complex requests, sending a fax, using the internet, it's easy to misunderstand. The polite way to ask for a repeat is, "Sorry, sir, would you repeat that?"
Why that phrasing?
Because it places the blame for the miscommunication on the listener's ear. "Sorry, I didn't hear you clearly," rather than on the speaker's clarity. It maintains politeness while ensuring accuracy.
Okay, so we've established contact and we've mastered basic social feedback. Now let's move to the social calendar, where conversations often get looser, more relaxed, and involve complex negotiations around food, atmosphere, and alcohol.
Right. The invitation to buy a drink is a classic social opener, but it often needs to be phrased with a certain formality to reduce the pressure on the other person.
Like,
"May I have the pleasure of buying you a drink?" The formality suggests respect, and it gives the recipient a really easy out if they choose to decline.
and if they accept, the conversation moves instantly to specifics. Our sources show a polite refusal of high-proof alcohol vodka is too strong. And the suggested compromise, a Shanghai cocktail, shows the need for flexibility in social ordering.
That dialogue also shows how you can combine activities. Once the drink is agreed upon, they add the next activity. "There is a floor show in our lobby bar. Would you like to see it?" Social invitations are often layered like that.
For meals, the negotiation is simpler. Pizza versus spaghetti. And setting the time using these informal markers like around midday or just after 12. These flexible time markers show the conversation is casual.
And when you're discussing food, bringing in cultural specifics is a fantastic way to build deeper rapport. When they mention Chinese dumplings or jiaozi,
The host's enthusiastic response is great. I'm watering now.
it's so powerful, isn't it? It's informal, it's visceral, and it expresses the strong anticipation for delicious food. A very memorable and relatable phrase.
We also get specific language for describing atmosphere when choosing a bar. They talk about the location, lots of bars in Hohai, and focus on aesthetics, specifically a really good view of the lake.
But now, let's tackle the high-stakes issue of alcohol etiquette. The sources include a crucial dialogue where someone refuses alcohol because it makes my face turn red.
Which is a physiological reason.
Yeah.
But the social pressure immediately pushes back.
It does. The pressure argument is explicit. If you refuse to drink, people will think you are too conservative. Now, that is a significant cultural insight from the source material.
So in some contexts, refusing a drink is interpreted as being reserved or not trusting the group or even judging them.
It can be. So how should the learner navigate this? The dialogue suggests a crucial compromise. Not forcing consumption, but suggesting the person at least get used to it and ready to have a couple of glasses.
So the linguistic key here is understanding that sometimes in these high-pressure social environments, partial participation is what's needed to maintain harmony, and the language has to reflect that.
Precisely.
Okay, moving on to holidays. Festival and holiday conversations require specific greetings and then immediately pivot to plans. For Christmas, the greetings are standard, Merry Christmas, but the essential question that follows is, are you doing anything special?
And the common relaxed reply is, I'm just going to take it easy, which is a perfectly low-effort, acceptable answer for most holidays.
The sources also reveal that a light debate over traditions is common small talk. They discuss Christmas carols, contrasting favorites like Jingle Bells and Little Drummer Boy.
It shows that holiday conversation often involves these shared cultural reference points. Thanksgiving, in comparison, is culturally framed as a time of family reunion.
The greetings are similarly benign. Have a nice Thanksgiving, followed by a logistical check. Are you going anywhere?
Now, birthday parties offer a rich contrast in cultural traditions. The sources note that in America, the 21st birthday is a huge deal because it marks the legal drinking age.
Right, which is why the celebrations often happen in bars. The conversation revolves around that new legal freedom.
But for the Chinese tradition, the discussion focuses on specific food items used to bless aged people, long-lived noodles, and longevity peaches.
And it includes the detail that the peaches are specifically made of wheat flour but look like real peaches. That shows the deep connection between food, symbolism, and respect in cultural celebrations.
The birthday dialogue also offers essential practical guidance for overcoming social anxiety, specifically when inviting someone to dance.
The host encourages the guest with that humorous, anxiety-minimizing phrase, "Don't be afraid, she isn't going to bite you."
It's a perfect idiom to minimize the perceived risk of social rejection. Finally, baby showers. The dialogue clarifies the timing, why we have the party before the baby comes.
And the justification is practical. The mother-to-be has more energy. This shows that social traditions often have very practical reasons behind them.
Conversations at baby showers involve predicting and wishing for the child, hoping for a boy or a girl, and making a toast for a healthy and bouncing baby.
And the gift discussion is excellent for modern vocabulary. They mentioned a stroller and a specific baby sleep monitor system, which highlights the specificity of modern helpful gifts. Moving to the housewarming scenario, the invitation is direct. It states the purpose and location. I want to invite you to a party at our new house.
But schedule negotiation is critical here because housewarming parties can be long. The guest needs to clarify the duration. Will the party go on until 2 in the next morning?
And the host offers a compromise. But you don't have to stay that long. It grants the guest permission to leave early without giving offense.
A crucial point of etiquette surfaces around gifts. The guest offers, I'd like to bring a present for your new house, but the host declines.
Nothing. Don't bring anything. It's unnecessary.
Which is a common pattern for hosts who want to minimize the burden. For the learner, the rule of thumb is often to insist gently once, and if the host declines a second time, you respect the refusal.
Touring the new place provides some great descriptive vocabulary. The host gives factual data on size, about 100 square meters, and then shifts to subjective quality, focusing on positive sensory details like quiet and peaceful, and the air being fresh and cool.
And when hosting a dinner, the guest uses complimentary language focused on the quality and scale of the meal. Wow, what a marvelous table you've got here. It's high-level appreciation.
And here we get another fascinating cultural detail. The Chinese table culture insight is that serving chicken first will bring luck to the guests.
Which is a wonderful conversational opening for the learner. You can ask about the custom, turning the dinner into a genuine cultural exchange.
The meal discussion then moves to specific food preferences. I like fried kidney best among Chinese food, and the formal end.
Proposing a toast for our friendship.
Okay, we're shifting now entirely to transactional language, getting things done, making purchases, arranging services. This is where precision and domain-specific vocabulary are just paramount.
Absolutely. When asking for directions in a closed environment like a department store, the language is specific and relies on fixed landmarks. Can you direct me to the toy department? The answer uses directional cues relative to a fixture. On the 7th floor as you get off the elevator.
And outside, on the street, directions rely on sequential turning instructions like turn left at the first light. The conversation immediately addresses travel time. Will it take me long to get there?
And the reassuring answer is important. No, it's not far at all. Which leads to the clear decision point. Walk or take the bus, in this case, the number 10 bus.
Taking a taxi introduces the language of urgency and negotiation. The customer states, "I'm in a hurry," which pressures the driver to respond by offering a shortcut, implying efficiency.
And learners also need to know how to handle the inevitable refusal of service. This can be blunt but standard. "I'm sorry my car is taken," or "I'm just waiting for someone." These are low explanation refusals, which are considered sufficient in transactional English.
The section ends with that universal emotional release of parking frustration. The phrases here are highly emotional and hyperbolic.
Yeah. Parking in this business area is a nightmare. And the financial complaint, $10 an hour, sheer robbery.
Let's pause on sheer robbery.
Mm-hmm.
For the advanced learner, it's vital to understand that this is conversational hyperbole. The speaker doesn't literally think they're being criminally robbed.
No, not at all. They're using exaggerated language to express extreme frustration over what they see as an unfair price. This kind of expressive hyperbole is very common in casual English complaints.
And then we learn the legal language for parking enforcement. You're either warned you can't park here, you'll get a ticket, or you're informed that your car is illegally parked because of the visible red line. Knowing those phrases is crucial for urban survival.
It really is.
So simple shopping starts with physical requirements, like buying a hat. The dialogue is pretty mechanical. You have size measurement. Let me measure you. Your size is 6. Color preference, which is brown, and trying it on to check the fit. It goes very well with my coat.
But luxury shopping, like in the watch dialogue, uses completely different language. The customer states these strict criteria focused on exclusivity and performance. Price doesn't matter. It must be gold and automatic.
The price is explicitly removed as a barrier, which signals status.
It does. And the vendor responds by escalating their suggestions using comparative language. They start with "one of our best watches made in Switzerland," and then when pressed for anything better, they deliver the top-tier suggestion.
Rolex is probably the best watch in the world.
It demonstrates the specific language of premium salesmanship, focusing on status and global reputation.
The supermarket dialogue is essential for daily survival. The customer asks for the location based on the use of the items, which is a common strategy.
Can you tell me where the ingredients to make Chinese food are?
And the items they're looking for are highly specific, which demonstrates the practical vocabulary you need for a complex grocery list. Things to stuff dumplings with, like Chinese cabbage, bean sprouts, plus soy sauce and vinegar.
That mastery of specific ingredient names shows fluency in a really practical domain. Then at checkout, the procedure relies on standard transactional language: ID check, cash or card, and the need to input a password.
These small, repetitive steps require formulaic language that the advanced learner just has to execute smoothly.
Exactly.
Okay, personal services. These demand very precise technical language to make sure the provider delivers exactly what you want. This is especially true for a haircut.
Oh, definitely. The instructions for the stylist are technical and detailed, focusing on length and style. Just a trim, cut the sides fairly short and not so much at the back, and that subtle adjustment, well, a little off the top.
The precision there is vital to minimize the risk of a bad haircut.
It is. And we also see the polite refusal of bundled services. No shave or shampoo, with the justification, "I can do all these things by myself." This is common when you're managing budget or time.
The facial service dialogue is a gift for the learner because it provides this comprehensive list of what a complete service entails. It's excellent vocabulary for the luxury or self-care domain, which a lot of textbooks miss.
The list includes thorough cleansing, invigorating the skin, removing dead cells, a massage, and a hydrating mask.
This vocabulary is important because it moves beyond general English and shows fluency in a specific high-end domain. Being able to correctly name the components of a service like a hydrating mask signals linguistic sophistication.
And the dialogue closes with the necessary transactional clarification of duration and cost. 1 hour and a half, 100 yuan, and the extra 10 yuan for makeup. Even in context of pampering, clarity around time and money remains paramount.
All right, this is the segment for the serious stuff. This is where careers, reputations, or significant relationships are on the line. These conversations require the most careful linguistic choices.
In conflict resolution, taking ownership is paramount. The source dialogue shows the speaker leading with full, unconditional accountability. I'm terribly sorry, I really shouldn't say those words yesterday. There's no attempt to minimize the fault.
They immediately offer a psychological explanation for the lapse, which humanizes the mistake without excusing it. They say, I don't know why I lost my temper and said so many stupid things.
And crucially, the speaker accepts responsibility even if the other party might have contributed to the problem. Even if it was your mistake, I shouldn't have behaved like that.
So the language shifts away from assigning external blame, like I was stressed, to an internal commitment. I'll be more focused.
And the resolution involves that firm commitment to future improvement. I'll be more focused from now on. The recipient of the apology then offers the necessary reassurance. Actually, I never did take offense, which is the closing linguistic key to signaling the conflict is truly over.
The second apology deals with logistical delays, missing a deadline for a videotape. The apology is accepted gently, and the recipient immediately minimizes the impact.
That's okay, I won't need it until next Friday. Which instantly transitions to setting a new manageable deadline requested 1 day earlier than necessary. If you can have it by next Thursday, everything will be good.
And it ends on that positive, future-focused note that's so essential in professional contexts. I think everything is going to turn out really good. Now, borrowing money. This is a high-stakes request because it involves vulnerability and trust. When a wallet is lost, the lender immediately provides psychological support first.
Take it easy. In your memory, where did you see it last time? The emotional safety net is prioritized before the financial transaction.
The request is simple. Could you lend me 100? But the acceptance is so unique and highly informal. You win.
That's not a textbook yes, is it? It's conversational acceptance that suggests the lender has been worn down, maybe resisted for a moment, but agrees willingly because of their close relationship.
The car borrowing dialogue shows how logistical favors are scheduled and how boundaries are established. The request for the weekend is immediately refused. I'm sorry, but it wouldn't be possible.
It's a firm but polite refusal. However, the request for a weekday is accepted. Yes, I guess that would be all right. Timing is the deciding factor, and the language reflects that negotiation.
And finally, covering for colleagues. This involves direct negotiation and the explicit recognition of a debt. The first person states the need. I need you to cover for me at noon.
And the other person negotiates the swap. You have to substitute for me this Friday morning so they can pick up their mother from the airport.
The deal is finalized with a clear commitment to the debt. It's a deal. I owe it to you. That phrase is crucial for the advanced learner. It explicitly recognizes the social debt and sets an expectation for future reciprocity. It ensures your colleague knows the favor was not forgotten. So, professional scheduling. This requires formality and accuracy. Making a business appointment, especially about a topic like technical cooperation, is framed as very important to underscore the necessity of finding time.
The assistant checks availability by noting, he is keeping busy this week. Postponing an appointment requires specific language that cushions the inconvenience. I wonder if our meeting could be put back a day or so.
And the new time has to be confirmed precisely, 2:30 p.m. Wednesday.
And interestingly, even just keeping the appointment involves social compliments. The punctual visitor is complimented. You are so punctual. Being on time is the soul of business. This shows that punctuality is highly valued and often verbalized in the American business context.
Asking for leave requires stating a clear purpose wedding preparation, sister's wedding, and confirming the duration. When the significant 10 days of leave are granted, the permission comes with a strong logistical warning.
Make sure to turn in all the necessary paperwork. Permission is conditional on administrative compliance.
Receiving a promotion is a moment of high linguistic praise. The source material highlights the reason for the sustained hard work. I love what I do, despite the long hours.
And the good news is delivered clearly. You are going to be promoted, perhaps, to head of the task force in Manhattan. The language surrounding the promotion focuses heavily on merit, which reinforces professional motivation.
The work you did was really exceptional. You definitely deserved it.
And it establishes future goals. This promotion is just a stepping stone to even greater things. This is the language of corporate expectation setting.
Okay, now for the ultimate high-stakes conversation, resignation. We have two scenarios. The first is based on personal, family necessity, and it's handled sympathetically.
The employee says, "My resignation is mainly for the consideration of my parents. They are old and can hardly serve themselves." And the boss accepts graciously, offering best regards for your parents.
But the second scenario, resignation due to conflict, is a masterclass in high-stakes honesty. The employee wants to quit because the leader, Mark, pays little attention to working method, and the employee feels tortured to work with him.
The employee shifts the blame from their own failure to the toxic environment created by that manager.
And this is where the dialogue takes a dramatic but critical twist. Instead of accepting the resignation, the boss intervenes, completely reversing the issue.
It shouldn't be you that decide to leave. Instead, it should be Mark to be asked to leave.
Let's analyze the linguistic power shift there. The employee's honesty about the specific problem naming the manager and the method forced the superior to act. By being specific, the employee made the situation solvable.
The conversational risk was enormous, but the payoff was total validation. You will work in a friendly, united, and cooperative atmosphere soon.
This shows that sometimes, even in professional English, vulnerability and specific critique, when delivered responsibly, can lead to a complete reversal of fortune. So we began this deep dive with introductions, and we close now with the crucial language of farewells and maintaining future contact.
The formal farewell is direct and logistical. "I'd like to say goodbye to everyone," which is immediately followed by the practical question, "When are you off?"
Flying home on Sunday afternoon. And most importantly, that social ritual of sending regards must be observed. Please don't forget to say goodbye to the rest of the family for me. This ensures the social bond continues even after you leave.
Casual departure is simpler. It's often signaled by just stopping by quickly. "I just dropped in to say goodbye," which implies you don't have much time.
Casual departures also include commitments for future action. I'll call you again later. Or the professional way to end a long discussion without insulting the other person. Let's call it a day and we will continue tomorrow.
And ending a phone call when you're busy requires a justification. You shift the reason for ending the call to external pressure. Is the boss coming by? Or, "I have to finish this report by 3.
It makes it clear that external necessity, not personal disinterest, is driving the end of the conversation.
Precisely.
This deep dive has been a total immersion into social mechanics. We moved far beyond textbook phrases, dissecting everything from the social pressure of drinking to the specific vocabulary needed for a complex facial service, and wow, the highly charged language of professional confrontation.
The core lesson here is the power of specific phrases to manage social risk. Knowing to use "I'd rather not, if you don't mind," to refuse without being rude, or how to use a specific compliment on a coat to build instant rapport. These dialogues are your blueprints for immediate application, reducing that fear of making mistakes in real time.
They remember that critical piece of advice from the English Corner dialogue. The only thing truly standing between you and mastery is the fear of speaking. Our job here is to give you the exact structure to minimize that fear.
We spent a lot of time analyzing that high-stakes professional conflict where an employee resigned, and it resulted in the manager being fired, a situation of immense conversational gravity.
Right. But earlier, we looked at a simple social favor, a request for money in a crisis.
And that crisis was resolved instantly with a highly informal, almost sarcastic two-word response. You win.
You win. That phrase, while completely casual, solved a genuine emergency.
So here's a final thought to chew on until next time, based on everything we've analyzed today. We saw people quitting jobs over a bad manager, but we also saw people lending money with a simple, you win. Which situation, the high-stakes professional conflict that leads to a resignation, or the simple social favor request for 100 units of currency, do you think requires the most carefully chosen words in English, and why?
Consider the consequences of miscommunication in each. Something to chew on until next time. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into conversational English.
We look forward to having you back in the Motivated Mind Zone soon.